Okay, the League of Women Voters of Anoka, Blaine, Coon Rapids area welcomes you to this forum to meet the candidates who are running for the mayor of Nowthen. There are also two candidates for the two at-large seats for city council, but since citizens can vote for two, there's no contest, and they will not appear tonight. Meet the Candidates forums are held without a live audience, and voters' questions were submitted online to the candidates. I'm Jerry Nelson, a member of the Anoka, Blaine, Coon Rapids Area League of Women Voters, and I live in Champlin, so can't vote for you guys, but I'll probably have an opinion by the time we're done tonight. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any political parties or candidates for office. I'm sure these candidates care very much who you vote for, but the League does not. The League does hope that each of you will vote. The goal for our forums is to help citizens become informed voters. The candidates for Nowthen Mayor are Jeff Pilon and Matt Wessling. We will begin with the questions that were provided to the candidates in advance. Candidates will alternate who answers each question first. Answers for these two questions are limited to 90 seconds each. Our timer, Paul Sitz, will alert the candidates at 15 seconds left to go and when you need to stop. But finish your sentence. Just don't go on and on. Okay, so let's start with Matt. With the first question, what is your motivation to run for Nowthen Mayor, and what experiences or knowledge would help you to serve effectively?
Thank you for the time, appreciate it. Is it Linda?
No, I'm Jerry.
You're Jerry, sorry, yeah. Linda.
Yep.
As Jerry had said, my name is Matt Wessling, and part of my reason for wanting to run for mayor is we've lived in this community now for just over 5 years, and we haven't really heard much of positive stuff from a lot of my neighbors, a lot of community members. A lot of people want some change, want some positive change, and I thought rather than sit on the sidelines and complain and not really know what to do or have any involvement, I decided I'd get involved and try and be a positive change.
Thank you very much. Jeff Pilon.
Pilon,
Pilon. Pilon?
Why is it ringing?
Don't know that.
It doesn't usually do that. Okay,
Harry,
sorry.
could you move yours over, your microphone to your left, please? See if that helps.
Okay. Sorry I didn't check with you first on that, I thought.
Yeah, it's not
I
a
know
problem.
how this goes.
It's that French, it mixes
Okay.
people up quite often.
So what is your motivation to run for Nowthen Mayor, and what experience or knowledge would help you to serve effectively?
Well, so I moved to Nowthen to raise my family in the country. It's been almost 30 years, a little over 30 years. When I was elected to the first city council, when we became a city 14 years ago, I wanted to do whatever I could to help Nowthen be a wonderful place to live and work. That's still my motivation today. I've been mayor for nearly 8 years, and I have a public record of positive leadership accomplishments. I've worked with state legislators, and the most important thing is to get Nowthen exempted from the Met Council control. We're the only city in the state to do that. Public safety has always been one of my top priorities, and over the years I've volunteered hundreds of hours to negotiate the first contract we've had with the Anoka County Sheriff, which we still have today, to establish our own fire department in the last 2 years. I'm a member of the Anoka County Emergency Management Team. I have been the whole time on the council, and I represent Nowthen on Anoka County Fire Protection Council. As a fiscal conservative, I feel it's critical that we manage our financial resources prudently. To that end, I was instrumental in getting the fire station addition built, the recycling building remodeled. We just drilled the new city well, and we have high-speed internet expanded to parts of the city, all without additional taxpayer expenses. We get grants or other monies to do all those things. So I think it's really important that we have experience and effective communication in the leadership role.
Thank you. We'll stick with you, Jeff. What are your goals for Nowthen's future?
My goals for the future, obviously, is to continue to bring creative solutions to provide the necessary services to the city. One of those things is to get internet expanded. We're looking to get fiber throughout the entire city. So I'm looking at working with the county and the state on that. We have a fire contract currently in place that has 1 year left on it. So we'll be negotiating either a new contract or providing our own leadership to our fire department. That's going to be one of the critical things. Obviously, maintaining a low tax rate. We have one of the lowest tax rates, not only in the county, but we're in the top 15 best tax rates in the entire state for cities over 2,500. We have a AA plus bond rating, which is extremely unusual for a city our size. It's a very positive thing. We want to continue to have cost-effective and efficient city services. We're working on a capital improvement plan that goes out 5 years, and we're working on a 10-year extension of that. So people can see where our monies will be going very clearly, what we're saving up for, so we can buy it without having to go into debt. So these are all critical things as we continue to build our city.
Thank you. Matt Wessling, what are your goals for Nowthen's future?
Well, some of my goals for the future of Nowthen is to figure out a way to make sure we can develop the infrastructure that our city needs in order to grow, with internet side, with adding natural gas where needed, where wanted, without overtaxing people, without having to increase that tax bill. So creative financial working, being able to keep us rural and allow a way to be able to grow. I also want to make sure that I'm bringing transparency, honesty, and team building back into Nowthen so that we can become a better, tight-knit run community.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move to the questions that were submitted online by the public. You will have up to 1 minute to respond. So, Matt Wessling, Nowthen just hired its first ever city administrator. What do you see this administrator doing for the city, not only right now, but over the next 5 years?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So I really see this city administrator as potentially a great leader for our city, someone who can come in and help manage all the day-to-day functions of the city, make sure that everything is run appropriately. There's so much that happens behind the scenes with cities, and so somebody with a strong leadership skill set, someone who can manage people appropriately, and for him to be able to continue to grow his team. I understand his team is currently doing some extra knowledge gaining this week through the League of Minnesota Cities, which is a fantastic thing. So I'd love to see that continue to go. And I really see him being a pivotal part in this community to help us grow and be strong. Thank you.
Jeff Pilon, what do you see the new administrator doing for the city over the next 5 years?
Yeah, obviously being instrumental in the search and selection of the candidate. I believe Scott will bring a lot of leadership skills. He's got 28 years in management, working in the private sector. I think one of the key things he's going to be bringing to us is private sector solutions to things to balance with what he's going to learn from the League of Minnesota Cities. He's very connected with appointed and elected leaders in our surrounding areas and throughout the state. So I think the combination of his private sector skills in business, along with his network and training in the public sector, is going to bring a unique combination of leadership skills here. He's going to be able to research what we need to grow appropriately our staff.
Thank you. Okay, Jeff Pilon, what are the pros and cons of creating a City of Nowthen ambulance EMS service? Are you in favor of exploring this?
The problem we have in Anoka County is statutorily we can't do that. So we can't form our own ambulance service. Elk River was able to do that years ago, but there is a contracted situation with Alina. They are given defined areas to serve. And so what we are doing instead of that, since we can't do that, our new fire department is requiring all new trainees be trained as EMTs. So we are looking at expanding the services of our fire department. We're looking at the sheriff's department and what we can do on medical responses there. The transport is the issue out here. We have to wait for a line of ambulances or the helicopter. But if we can train our personnel, our first responders, to be able to respond properly, that's what we can do at this point.
Okay. Matt Wessling. I didn't read the whole thing here. What are the pros and cons of creating a City of Nowthen ambulance EMS service, and are you in favor of this? So I didn't give you a chance to do that, but I think you already kind of did it. So,
Yeah.
So what do you think about the ambulance situation?
Well, as Jeff stated, you're up against a rock and a hard spot on that part. So we need to have a creative solution. And I'm completely in favor with what Jeff said as far as we need to make sure that our fire staff here, our emergency responders are trained to the highest level possible for them so that they can provide the best medical care for our residents until the ambulance can get there in order to transport them. Whatever it takes in order to get them there, extra training, extra funding in that scenario. Absolutely.
Okay. Did you have anything to add?
No.
Okay, that's good. So Matt Wessling, the current city website does not provide pertinent and timely information about city council agendas or any real-time social media presence for Nowthen. How can taxpayers receive timely information as council members do prior to meeting times?
That's a great question. Something that I've been thinking quite a bit about, and the city does a good job at getting that information out at this point. I think it could be improved upon. I personally feel that if we can build a better, stronger, team-based community, people who are actually working together, in communication with each other at all times, full transparency of what's going on, then it'll start there. They'll know that if they stop in at City Hall, that stuff is posted as required on there. Now, we can expand, absolutely, onto the web, onto whether it's a Facebook page for the city or updating the city website. Those are absolutely things that we can expand upon, but I'm not quite sure that that is the ultimate solution. It's building the teams of people back together here again.
Thank you. Jeff Pilon, what are your thoughts about getting information out to the public?
Could you read the question
I sure will.
again?
The current city website does not provide pertinent, timely information about city council agendas or any real-time social media presence for Nowthen. How can taxpayers receive timely information, as council members do, prior to meeting times?
Yeah, well, first of all, I fundamentally disagree with the statement that the website is not current. We had one blip in August. We're in transition right now between our interim administrator, who has been running that, and Scott, who's just taking over for August 1st. And Scott had a number of pre-scheduled vacation days that he's been using in that transition. So there was a blip in August where the agenda did not get posted on the website. It was posted as it needs to be on the city bulletin board. So that was a blip. A year ago, we were lucky to get our minutes up online within 3-4 months. Typically, they're immediately on approval up online. Our minutes, our meetings are online, if not that night of the meeting, generally the next day or two. So I say that we are communicating effectively.
Okay. This question, I think, was these people want to know what's going to be on the agenda. Do they want to come and give you some
And
input?
that's posted typically on our website as soon as, in fact, typically right now the draft agenda is up even before the council sees it. So that is posted most months. August, we had a blip where for some reason the staff didn't post it in the transition between our interim administrator and our new incoming administrator. Okay. So it always is posted on there. the full agenda and the packet.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jeff Pilon, what can the mayor and city council do to get reliable quality internet to all areas of our city? And how would you finance it? Both of you, I think, mentioned that in your opening statements. So do you have anything more that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, we are working, I've been working on it for 8 years or better. I'm working with state officials, last mile providers. What we can do is continue to work with last mile providers. We are currently working with a last mile provider company. It's a last mile provider. These are the people who bring the internet to the home.
Okay.
And they have worked with us to apply for a border-to-border grant from the state. We also are working with the county, and they applied for a border-to-border grant for $4 million to provide fixed wireless services, which would be a stopgap measure while we get infrastructure. And so where we go from there is we're looking at government funds, federal funds, to support that so that we can match grants that come from the state and not utilize extensive revenues from the city.
Thank you. Matt Wessling, what can the mayor and city council do to get reliable quality internet to all areas of the city? And how would you finance it?
Absolutely, great question. Since I've been here the last 5 years, we seem to be an island in and amongst cities that are overwhelmed with high-speed internet. We don't have it. Very few parts of us do. I got to tell you, I don't know the exact answer on how that gets done. I know that those answers are out there. I would seek to network with the cities around us, the mayors, the council members around us to find out the paths, options that they took, continue on with the path of what the current mayor and the current city council have been exploring, and make sure that we're covering all bases, make sure that we're figuring out all the different options of what is there in order to get it done.
Thank you. Okay, Matt Wessling, given the turmoil in Nowthen city government over the past year, do you support city council creating a code of ethics?
A code of ethics for a city sounds really good. In my viewpoint, if you need to get to the point in a city that you are having to create a code of ethics for your city council member and your mayor to operate around, to me that says that there's been ethical violations and major concerns by your members of your community. If the members of the community want that and that will help them feel more comfortable, then absolutely put it in place. I personally don't believe that there's different type of ethics. I think you're either an ethical person or you're not. You don't have business ethics separate from your family ethics, separate from your work ethics. You just don't. You have ethics or you don't.
Thank you. Jeff Pilon, given the turmoil in Nowthen city government over the last year, do you support the city council creating a code of ethics?
First of all, I'd like to bring clarification. I said the Nowthen council hasn't been in turmoil. If you take a look at our records, we typically, after discussion, have 5-0 votes. So I think the question really is getting at the administrative staff that had a fundamental disagreement on whether they were employees of the city or not. And as employees of the city that wanted to manage the city, that was a fundamental issue. I think it's absolutely necessary for everybody to understand the policies that are in place, to understand the League of Minnesota City Guidelines. They have a handbook for cities and they have a handbook for mayor that actually lays out all those policies and the ethical decisions that are made. And so we as council members do take training in that. There is a decorum for the council, and there are ethics that are established that we abide by, and it's very evident in our council meetings that is upheld. So.
Thank you. Okay, Jeff Pilon, Nowthen's 2 city parks have unfortunately been subjected to vandalism and maintenance issues such as garbage pickup. What should the city do to address these issues?
One of the things that we have done is we've increased our sheriff's coverage. And so now we have 12 hours a day, 7 days a week coverage. And so we are able to target the sheriff's areas of monitoring. And that helps, and certainly in the parks. I think the garbage pickup, we don't have staff that works weekends. So if there's something on the weekend, that would be a problem. If that is something that continues, I'm sure the new administrator will address that, either by reassigning staff during the week to work weekends. But the vandalism is something we are able to monitor with the police department. We've also expanded surveillance cameras in our parks to monitor for those types of things, so we can work with the sheriff if there is something to apprehend people and make sure that they don't offend again.
Thank you. Matt Wessling, Nowthen's 2 city parks have unfortunately been subjected to vandalism and maintenance issues such as garbage pickup. What should the city do to address these issues?
Great question for that. I really feel that starts at the foundation, the base of the city. I think that it really begins with bringing back, I'm going to continue to talk about building teams, building a park and rec board again of committed residents who believe in the city, who have the support of the city council and of the mayor to be able to act on that behalf to help keep those parks clean. The better we can bring our community together, the more involved they're going to want to be. Our family, from moving here in 2017, has steadily declined the amount of times that we visit the parks because of how they're not kept up, they're not clean, they are vandalized, the bathrooms are, like a horrible truck stop. So as much as the police is nice to have, we need the community.
Thank you. Continuing kind of with parks here, some cities have held referenda to support purchasing green space for future generations. Would you consider exploring this possibility?
The idea to me of purchasing additional green space for future development of parks, I think is a good idea. I don't know that it is something that I would run with right away. We need to get the base of Nowthen put back together. We need to build community and families back together where people actually want to be involved with the city. And then I think we can explore those type of ideas further down the road.
Thank you. Jeff Pilon, some cities have held referenda to support purchasing green space for future generations. Would you consider exploring this possibility?
What we do here now then is we have a park development fee when people are building here. Mm-hmm. And so we're actually using that, and we have a long-term park plan. And that park plan identifies trails and potential parks throughout. So it's marked on, we have a map with that, identifying all of those search locations. So when people do come in to develop, one, they pay a fee for each home that they develop, and that goes dedicated to a park fund for that purpose. And then if they are developing in an area where we're looking at trails and parks, we work with those developers to put those parks in at that time. It becomes a very costly maintenance item if you're not developing as you go and collecting those funds for it.
Thank you. Okay, Jeff Pilon, how can you alleviate the cost to city taxpayers of maintaining approximately 26 miles of gravel roads?
How do you alleviate the cost to taxpayers? One, we do the best job we can to maintain those roads with a plan. So we have a gravel plan. We have a multi-year and it's updated every year to maintain those. We bring in dust control to maintain the level of gravel that we do put down. But the alternative is to try and pave all those roads, which is a whole at $1 million a mile previously. With bituminous cost, it's even more so now. To upgrade those roads to bituminous, you still have an upgrade situation, and that becomes a taxpayer issue as well. So what we do is plan wisely and maintain them properly so that we have the minimal cost.
Thank you. Matt Wessling, how can you alleviate the cost to city taxpayers of maintaining approximately 26 miles of gravel roads?
26 miles, that is certainly a lot of dusty roads to be driving down. Alleviate the cost, I don't think that you're not going to completely alleviate that cost. Unfortunately, there is cost associated with running a city, with having that type of a structure happen. So in order to do that, I do think that there are ways that we can creatively fund those different scenarios. A long-term plan in order to eventually get all of that paved so that that maintenance cost stops would be an option I would like to explore.
I used to live on a gravel road, and we tried to keep people from going more than 20 miles an hour down. So I get that. Okay, so Matt Wessling, this is one more question, then we'll have the closing statements. Give examples of ways you have been able to work productively with those who do not share your opinions.
Wow, that's a really good, very good question. Everybody is not going to share the same opinion as you, and that's totally fine. So, for example, where I work in a training environment, training employees, running equipment. And there's lots of different opinions, ideas on how equipment should be run and equipment is trained. The way that I work best with that is listening and understanding their opinions, their ideas, because like I said, everyone's opinion matters, they're all valid. Whether or not you agree with it at the very beginning, it's quite possible that just taking the time to listen and see it from their viewpoint, you're going to gain additional insight and be able to figure out a solution.
Thank you. Jeff Pilon, give examples of ways you have been able to work productively with those who do not share your opinions.
My business career has been in manufacturing, and a large part of that was in the quality function. And so when you're in the quality auditing, you often find people that don't agree with your opinions. Mm-hmm. And your job is to go out there and make sure that you're communicating well. So I agree with Matt that listening is the first and foremost part, making sure that there's a clear understanding and understanding what the goals are that whoever you're talking with, what are they looking for and why? And what is the organizations you represent looking for and why? And so as certainly in the city, there are a variety of opinions. We see that, and that's one of the ways that people express that is they vote. And I like to think I've been successful in getting through that because I've been elected 4 times in a row here as mayor. So I've done something to get around those opinions where people differ with me. So.
Thank you. So we come to the closing statements, and we're just about right on time, so that's great. Jeff Pilon, would you give us your final statement?
All right, thank you. First, I want to thank the league for doing this. Since there's only 2 of us here today, it's nice that you still took the trouble to come out and communicate. And so I moved to Nowthen more than 30 years ago. This was mostly open farmland. You got past the fairgrounds, you were pretty much on your own. I got involved with the city council to help try and maintain the open spaces in the best parts of the small town, because I came out here to raise a family. I wanted a place that could still be there for my kids and grandkids. So I love it when my grandson can come out and still be on our little farm. I want to keep that as long as reasonably possible. But it takes long hours, it takes hard work, it takes commitment to fend off the forces that want to radically change the way we live out here, the Met Council being one of them. The legislative transition being another of those where they want to change how we zone things. So I think it's important to have continuity and experience in this position to keep what we've got, the best of what we got.
Thank you. Matt Wessling, your final statement.
Thank you, League of Women Voters, for being here. I appreciate your time and gathering all these questions, moderating this. It's a fantastic platform. 5 years so far in this community. When my wife and I came out here to look at our potential land and house, we knew immediately driving down the driveway that it was our forever place as long as we could put the right deal together. So now we live out here. We have 5 children. My mother-in-law lives with us. We're a very busy household, but we appreciate the small town feel. We love the area that we're in, and we want to just continue to grow the community, grow the community feel. One of the things I miss not living in a small neighborhood is that next door neighbor community feel. Even though we're a little ways away from each other, I think we can continue to have that community feel. Want to make sure I bring that back to our area, bring the transparency and honesty back to the community.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates, for running for mayor and for speaking to the voters about the issues that you care about. And thank you to all of you who are watching for your interest in becoming informed voters. You'll find links to all the Meet the Candidates forums on the League of Women Voters ABC website and on YouTube. You can find information about joining the League of Women Voters at LWV ABCMN.org, or just League of Women Voters Minnesota will get you there. You can request an absentee ballot now on the Secretary of State's website, mnvotes.org, or anytime after, and you can vote anytime after Friday, September 23rd. If you need to register to vote or update your registration because you've changed your address or your name, you can do that online or when you go to vote. Make sure your voice is heard in the general election by voting on or before November 8th. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.